of those, though, is this ICD-10 now, or ICD-11, that's right about to happen, and it will have happened by the next time we meet, where they're going to reclassify, and get me, if I'm wrong, please someone tell me I'm wrong, but I think I'm correct here. It's reclassifying the illnesses under the psychiatric coding. That's a really big problem for our patients. So they'll only be able to get, most insurances cover half of a psychiatric visit. I mean, it has huge immediate impacts on our patients.
We make that as a motion to the Secretary today and get that.
We already have the motion there. Yeah. It's already there. So
the recommendation.
I mean, the recommendation's already been voted on, and all the rest of it's in there about it being. Well, actually, it's in there as a central nervous system disease versus a psychiatric disease was the prior motion, which is 5 or 6 years old.
Is it? I'm just wondering. I'd be happy to send something to the committee members on this issue. It's going to be a little bit more detailed than we have time to deal with right now, and I can at least let you all think about kind of what we want to do, and then is it possible for us to? I'm just kind of thinking that some of the context of this, there's also issues on the DSM, so they're both involved. They're both a little bit complicated. I'd be happy to circulate information to the committee members, and then possibly the committee members can decide if they want to kind of make a motion. I don't know if that's possible to do that outside of this meeting, or whether that's not possible.
If the committee's interacting, it has to be in the public domain, because that's sort of a meeting that's happening via email. If there's a need to get right in front of the Secretary, if these things are in process of being reviewed and there's a chance to veto something or what have you,
I think that's actually what we need.
It might be important, as imperfect as it might be, to surface that again.
The DSM is a little less time sensitive, because I think they were still 18 months away. But this is this summer. This is happening right now.
Jason, and then.
So, looking at that earlier recommendation, a prior committee had encouraged the classification as a nervous system disease, and the response, Wanda, that your office put together was the science of CFS does not support this action at this time. Is it possible we can make a recommendation to say that the science does not support the ICD-9 classification as a psychiatric disorder, and make that recommendation and maybe put it through in that fashion?
And I would add further that what the science does support is that it's a multi-system disease, which pulls it out of the realm of a psychiatric diagnosis. I think that I would agree that it is more controversial as to whether it truly is a nervous system disease, and the problem is that if it's controversial, my surmisal is that there will be agencies who will say, no, you can't call it a nervous system disease, and it'll lapse back into the old psychiatric, which still people say that. If we actively say something like a multi-system disease, it's going to be pretty hard to argue with that, I would think, for anyone to present evidence to the contrary that it's a multi-system disease and it pulls it out of the psychiatric. Either way, I don't know which one's going to be more effective.
That's a very good point.
Say it at the top. It is not appropriately classified as a psychiatric disease,
but
it is a multi-system disease. And make that our recommendation. And this does have to get in front of...
His motion, I'll second.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any further discussion?
This ICD-10 that we're really talking about has to do with chronic fatigue, and then not otherwise specified, as well as myalgic encephalomyelitis. So they're both classified potentially in different places, and I think that's what this is about. And the question is, where we want to specify it and how we want to recommend it. I'm just kind of bringing this up that I think it's fine to kind of talk about our significant concerns. I think it would be very good if we could actually have a recommendation here that was more specific, though.
But you don't think that was specific enough?
To call it a multi-system disease is not specific enough?
See, right now they have two entities they're basically classifying in two different places of the ICD-10. So the question is, which place do you want to put this thing? And there are two...
Which place did they put them?
Well, the chronic fatigue syndrome is in one place. The myalgic encephalomyelitis is in another place.
And where's ME?
That's the ME. It's in the neurological.
It's in neurologic. So why don't we leave ME alone? Because leave it alone. And go after the misclassified CFS.
priority is to get it out of psychiatric.
Right.
There are people who, I mean, again, this is another controversial point. There are people who link ME and CFS as being the same entity. There are others who argue it's separate. ME is not the one at risk right now. CFS is the one at risk, meaning being called a psychiatric diagnosis. If you focus on that, that becomes a point for discussion and investigation in the future. What are the similarities and differences? Are they the same? Are they not the same? But what it does is it says, Nancy's absolutely right. I know it was true in Texas when I was there. It's true in Mississippi. Psychiatric diagnosis, by definition, will cut any benefit these people have as a whole in half.